Bro, some rabbit hole start with symbols and end somewhere way darker than you expected. Come on, man. We're diving into FBI symbolism and one of the most disturbing topics in this whole lineup. This is Brosky Ray. Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
You guys, how is it that every time I see these logos, it has something to do with kids? Don't know what I'm talking about? Let me explain. So this place right here, John's Incredible Pizza, all you can eat, food and fun. What are these logos? Oh yeah, the PDF file, FBI disclosure, logos. The swirls are, they don't miss, you guys. They do not miss. And surprise, surprise, it has to do with pizza. Come on. Now, I showed you time and time again that it has to do with kids. How is it that this particular logo is connected to kids? If you look at Disney, they have logos. If you look at every time they have those logos, it has to do with kids. They are speaking to each other in code. Now, mind you, this is actually located right in front of a school right over here. But also, that's not all. So you guys, this is where kids frequent. Mini golf, go-karts, climbing. This is in the same plaza, you guys. Stay safe, keep your kids safe, protect the kids.
Amen. Symbolism will be their downfall.
The owners of the world, who's that?
You want me to say who the owners of the world were? This is where everyone starts asking me. I love this, that you would ask me that. I might have to have a cigarette. It makes me nervous to say who they are. First of all, I've been saying it for 30 years, and people, when I tell them, their eyes just go dead because they cannot handle the truth. Remember that Jack Nicholson movie? You can't handle the truth. You don't want it. But it's so obvious that I just will say it. The owners of the world are the royals, kings, queens, dukes, duchesses, imams, popes, wizards that own every single dime on earth and bank at the Bank of International Settlements. That's the owners of the world who decide every war and arm both sides because they make money. They're arms dealers. They're Nazi arms dealers. They also make prisons. They also make, poisons. They're invested in depopulation. The WEF, WHO, all those bullshit things out of the UN, they need to depopulate this planet of useless eaters, which they call us, because they have no place to ride their horsies.
The horses.
And conduct their fox hunts or their people hunts or whatever it is they do that we all really know about but ignore. The reason that the vampire stories are so popular, take a look at that too.
They're laughing because the truth makes them uncomfortable and they don't know how to react.
I bet you didn't know this one. The United Nations are headquartered on Mount Hermon, which just happens to be the mountain that Jesus ascended on, and also happens to be the mountain that the angels, the fallen angels from heaven in the book of Enoch, supposedly fell onto. Guess what? It's also located on the 33rd degree latitude and longitude mark. They're so weird. I don't get it. This is my driver, and I just, you know what? I'm not in the club, and I don't want to be. But I want to know why it's always 33. That's all. That's all.
Nice. It's not coincidence. It's Masonic.
Did you guys see this? Trump is going to build himself an arch. When a Freemason achieves godhood, they build themselves an arch. That's what it means. And the arch is a portal from the real world to the spirit world, because Freemasons are all about demonics, right? And he's going to call it the triumphal arch. And triumphal arch is what? 6-7. That's right. Just like the war is called epic fury, which is 6-7. Just
Why are
like
you
all
throwing
the
gang signs?
kids are doing 6-7. You know why? Because 6 equals 7. Yeah. And you know what? It was the word of the year last year. It was all foreshadowing of this war. Also, COVID-19 is 6-7. Just like the biggest pop star in the world, Taylor Swift, who loves to put the number 13 on her hand, yeah, is 7-6, which is 6-7. And they even have the sweatshirt. It's Mason 6-7. This is all Mason signaling that this is a Masonic genocide going on. So what is 6-7? Well, 6-7 is 13, which is M, right? Like the Masonic apron is M, and you just flip it over, which becomes W, which is the 23rd letter of the alphabet, which 2 + 3 = 5, like the Masonic compass and square. So yeah, his triumphal arch, which is 6-7, just like epic fury is 6-7. That's what it's all about, people. I told you when the kids were doing 6-7, it was covert signaling that the cult was up to something. So with that, the other thing is, just a couple months ago, we were tapping into our strategic petroleum reserves, right? Because of the oil shortage and all that. Now, all of a sudden, Trump has a bunch of tankers coming to America to fill up. So tell me this, how are those tankers going to fill up? Are we going to drain our strategic oil reserve to fill up those tankers? Anyhow, people, have a good day. 6-7, you know what it is? It's just more covert signaling by the occult that this is a genocide. So, sign, share, and promote the Full Disclosure Act every single day, man. We got them on the run. They are exposed. Go to fulldisclosureact.com, sign it, and then come back and dig through all the websites. There's a lot to learn there. And if you really have some balls, get some lethal 22 clothes, wear it on the street, and let the cult know they are busted. I love you all. Peace.
Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
What the hell is going on?
Are your parents cousins? Are you Pakistani? I am. Are your parents cousins? Yes. Are you Pakistani? Yes. I'm gonna ask you. Okay, are your parents cousins? Yes. How do you know that? Because I know. Did your mom tell you that? Are they actually cousins? No, they're actually parents. No, not parents, cousins. Are your parents cousins? No. Your mom's right there. No? Are you sure? They're not cousins. How do you know? Because they're married. Ask your mom. Ask your mom. Go ask your mom right now. They're not friends. They're married. Are you Pakistani? Yes. Yes. His parents are cousins. Are your parents cousins? Yes. Are you Pakistani? Yes.
Bro, what in the Matrix, bro? If this doesn't make you believe that we live in a simulation, bro.
Everybody thinks I'm Turkish in Turkey. And all of the people in Turkey look like they could be Mexicans. Like if I were to go to Mexico and I saw this exact person and they were speaking Spanish, bro, I'm 100% convinced that that's a Mexican right there. The Turkish people here in Istanbul will speak to me in Turkish first. That's only English. In all seriousness though, why do people from this part of the world look like Latinos? Someone tell me.
Then this right here would make complete sense, bro. It only makes sense, man. When they created the Cabbage Patch Kids, they were literally telling us about the real ones, bro. They were putting it in our faces. I'm telling y'all, man, we're literally in a simulation. We're in the Matrix, bro, because this is the only explanation for this. But what do you guys think? This is some crazy stuff, man. The age of Aquarius, the truth is coming to the surface. Let me know down in the comments below. The shift is here. We're in the midst of it. Let's continue to get it. Peace out.
Hey, no disrespect, but this is why they be having two-headed kids and kids stuck together.
What is the dragon bloodline really? The dragon bloodline refers to an ancient, highly advanced master race of priest kings and goddess queens who were genetically bred to be the overlords of human society. This royal lineage traces its roots back to the Anunnaki, aka fallen angels, and descends directly from the Anunnaki goddess Lilith. In The Dragon Legacy, Nicholas de Ver explains how the pure elven royalty were characterized by tall stature, translucent pale skin, green or blue eyes, and the royal coloring of red or red gold hair. To maintain their heightened intelligence, extraordinary magical powers, and extreme longevity, the dragon queens and kings practice an organic alchemical ritual known as royal vampirism, which involved the ritualistic ingestion of starfire, the menstrual blood, and female of Virgin Grail maidens and dragon princesses. In his Genesis 6 conspiracy series, Gary Wayne describes how, as the dragon bloodline migrated into Europe and Asia, it was carried by the royal Scythians, the Aryans, and the Celtic Tuatha De Danann, the tribe of Anu. These fair-skinned, red-haired, and green-eyed overlords became mythologized as the elves, fairies, and the Shining Ones. In Celtic Britain, the lineage manifested in the Pendragons, or Head Dragons, a title held by kings such as Cymbeline and the legendary King Arthur. Ultimately, the Celtic, Merovingian, and Norse Grail lineages were all unified in the Scottish House of Stuart, which was celebrated as the quote, House of Unicorns. Following the deposition of the Stuarts, the bloodline has continued to survive to the present day in a network of interlinked aristocratic families known as the Rex Deus. These contemporary families include the Sinclairs, the Habsburg Lorraines, the Plantards, the Luxembourgs, and the House of Vere.
Okay.
You guys, this Erica Kirk rabbit hole does not stop. You guys won't believe what I found. First, let's start with this event that just passed called Make Heaven Crowded, with her as a guest speaker along with these other guest speakers and this guy over here, Pastor Greg Laurie. Yeah, the same guy who heads up this mega church, Harvest Christian Fellowship, who got hit with SA allegations against young men at a children's home in Romania. And let's not forget, Erica Kirk had a charity group called Romanian Angels who did missions in Romania linked to kids. Got it. Wait, hold up. Is it just me, or this title, Make Heaven Crowded, has a cult, drink the Kool-Aid type of vibe to it? But it doesn't stop there. Did you guys know that she was in a movie that remains unreleased called November Renaissance, where she plays an assassin? And this is her on a rooftop with a sniper rifle. Also, it's important to note some of the movie's film locations was at Fort Huachuca, the same place that Candace was inquiring about her whereabouts before Charlie died. And if this wasn't weird enough for you guys, where Charlie's demise lines up with this movie named Snake Eyes, where a guy named Charles Kirkland gets shot in the neck on September 10th, and a bunch of other coincidences, well, that's where it just begins. Can anybody tell me why there's another Erica Kirk spelled the same way with the K who married this former governor of Florida named Claude Kirk? What? Who's also a blonde and also an actress like the current Erica Kirk and married a guy with the same initials, CK. Says right here, she was an actress whom he had met during an unsuccessful business venture in Brazil, which is eerily similar to Charlie and Erica starting out as business because he interviewed her and then turned into more. Now, it says that she passed away in 2023 at the age of 88. And Erica Kirk was born in 88. Weird. Getting weirder though, because the original Erica Kirk was first introduced as Madam X, which is the same name of this album put out by Madonna, released June 14th, Trump's birthday. I don't even know what to do with this. I mean, it is pretty interesting that Candace Owens shares text messages of Charlie Kirk saying that he thinks he's a time traveler. Really makes you think. Make sure you guys get into my Telegram. Also hit up my YouTube, The Maverick Approach, where I'm doing a deeper breakdown. And let me know what you guys think about all this down below.
At this point, if we think Erica is innocent, we're dumb.
You're addicted to truth, and you're willing to share the truth no matter the cost. I have huge regard for you for that, because so many people are weak, especially people in the Christian faith. They won't speak boldly for their faith. And so I have in my hand a facsimile of the most priceless New Testament fragment on earth. I'm not just giving it to you because it's priceless. I'm not just giving it to you because it's the oldest. I'm giving it to you because it's what it says. This was found in the dry sands of Egypt. Of course, it would last 2,000 years. It's dated to 125 AD. This is the conversation Jesus is having with Pontius Pilate. And do you remember he asked Jesus, what is truth? Jesus responds right here, ek tes aletheus, everyone who is of the truth hears my voice. I hope that this will inspire you because truth never dies. I spell truth J-E-S-U-S, by the way. So this is for you.
One of my favorite quotes is, "The truth is like a lion. Set it free and it'll defend itself."
Exactly.
Thank you, Jesus Christ. You know, I live in the biggest Islamic country in the world, Indonesia, and I'm not afraid or shy to proclaim my faith for Jesus.
We've purposely downed these craft, right? Have we purposely murdered other beings?
Oh, God, that's a horrible thought, isn't it? Wouldn't it be an absolute catastrophe if our first contact with a non-human intelligence involved us murdering the occupants of the vehicle that we were trying to retrieve?
Have we?
I suspect we have. Yeah, I suspect we have. And I think that's the ethical quandaries behind what we've been doing on the rationale that what we're doing is giving ourselves a strategic advantage against our potential foreign adversaries. We've rationalized ourselves into a military groupthink that what we're doing is the right thing.
It's very upsetting and probably the worst crime humanity could commit.
Oh, just imagine. I mean, imagine if that's true. And the thing I find most confronting is, at the moment, the official position still of the Pentagon is we have no evidence at all of extraterrestrial engagement with planet Earth.
They're all demons. Wake up.
If I told you that a folktale from Russia, a folktale from Armenia, and a folktale from South Africa all have the same plot, would you believe me? They're not really retellings, but in every single one, the same thing happens. A child is born with something magical, and someone immediately tries to get rid of them. Russia's tale of Sar Sultan, the Moon Child, a story of the Zulu and Sotho peoples of South Africa that I just read, and Armenia's tale of Golden-Haired Boy. They all converge on the same storyline. Folklorists actually have a name for this. It's ATU Type 707. The Three Golden-Haired Children. To me, this really feels like a broader commentary on how our world treats spirituality and magic. The first instinct is always to shove it or take it away. And that's what you see with those jealous relatives and in-laws in all of these stories taking away this child. But in every story, the child with magical capabilities always prevails in the end.
So you all heard of the Great Reset of 1776. It was a total wipeout, out with the old and in with the new, to proclaim the great New World Order. As you can see, it's taking place on this world today. This footage is from the Vatican, deep in the archives. Even though I know for a fact this is not AI, I've done some deep checks with the AI checker, and as you can see, this is definitely legit footage. This is the Tartarian Wars, the old world wars, against the new world and the old world. I know what you're thinking, this looks like Star Wars or Star Trek. Well guys, where do you think they got the inspiration from? You can't just make something out of nothing, remember? Everything came from the old world. And as you can see, there's Tartarian buildings and old world architecture all through this footage.
That is AI, man.
So it's quite obvious that this was in Tartarian times of 1776 for the Great Reset to abolish the old world. I know for some of you, this is going to be like, no way this is real. But guys, everybody got reset. Their minds went blank. Before 1776, this realm was totally, totally different. And we had technology like this. You just can't remember because the slate was wiped clean. This was a different age, a different time. And we're getting reset again right now. The new systematic controlling age. We're going to be controlled by cryptocurrency and the New World Order even more than ever.
Let me know how you feel about this in the comment.
There are numbers of people that have claimed that they see this Hat Man.
Yeah, it's a very common spirit. My wife and I were channel surfing, and it was an occult movie. And in that was an entity called the Hat Man, a 6 foot, 7 foot figure. When I saw the Hat Man on the TV, I felt a door open in our house. And the dog started barking. And I looked, and for a moment, when I began to turn, I caught it. Just like
that glance, yeah.
Yes, but then when I trained my eyes on it, I couldn't see it anymore. And I said, in the name of Jesus, I close this portal and command you to get out. And I felt it leave, and the dog stopped barking.
And always pray before you sleep, folks.
So on to the CIA. Did you hear what they actually just revealed?
What now?
So this is crazy. I did some extensive research on this. Quantum mechanics. The CIA has it. So right here, they have something called ghost murmur. It's a mechanism. It's a secret, never used tool to find an airman in Iran, where they say, if you have a heartbeat, we'll find you. If you ever been to a real desert, they take you way out there. It's like being in the ocean. It's that bad. Like if you get stuck in the ocean.
I think they used this with the missing soldier in Iran.
Over with. There's nothing. Like, if you don't have water or shade, you're cooked. So they're trying to find this airman and he's in the middle of nowhere, right? So the ghost murmur is essentially where the CIA has this tool. They're using something called quantum magnetometry.
Quantum magnetometry.
Yes.
I can barely say that.
Okay, understand that we are electromagnetic
Sounds like
beings,
my
right?
friend.
So every time your heart beats, what it does is it has a magnetic field around it when it beats, right? Same thing how your mind, when you think of something, they do a scan, you give off electricity. So your heart gives off this very faint magnetic signal. So they use this mechanism, this process, to where they can pick it up, that magnetic signature, filter all the other noise out with AI and locate you with precision. So this is how they found this airman. This process, how long have they had it? Because they're saying, oh, it's never used tool before, it's new.
Bullshit.
Is it?
How long?
How long, right? If they're talking about quantum magnetometry, which is part of quantum mechanics, and essentially what it means is where they have this signature, they can pinpoint you with precision. It's like being in a stadium with 10,000 people yelling and they can find your exact voice. That's what it does.
Wow.
So with that type of precision, with that type of technology, so we're talking what? Quantum mechanics? So quantum computers, quantum physics, none of this shit is sci-fi anymore. It's real life.
I can't wait till you ask me which movie.
So which movie?
Predator. The very first Predator.
yeah,
he saw
yeah,
infrared,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
After Arnold Schwarzenegger covered himself in mud, he couldn't find him. However, Predator was like, doot, 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 and woof, woof, woof. Like it literally switched his camera views in his helmet to different views to where he located, it wasn't heat, it was his heartbeat.
Oh, I remember that. That was in the first one?
That was the first one.
When did that movie come out?
89?
It might have been like 87. So you mean to tell me they had this technology already figured out in 1987?
I was going to say it, but I was going to give the movie up.
You see what I mean? They had this shit for decades.
That's why I said, okay, watch Predator, watch Terminator, watch Matrix. Like you'll be ready for all this shit.
So how did they depict this? That's almost 40 years ago.
I don't know. These motherfuckers like, you know what? That was cool in the movie. We should make that. Or maybe it was the other way around. They're like, oh, we should make a movie about this shit because we got it.
But that's what I mean though. So we have this technology to where they're disclosing this. So imagine what they do have, what they're not disclosing.
I'm scared.
So let's find all the missing children then. Let's go.
They are worse. They create more long-lasting damage than reptilians do. Yeah, reptilians can damage your mind. They can scramble your brain to the point where you're not even able to like have a coherent conversation even when you're sovereign. If you've been dealing with psychosis for years and the reptilians have really messed with your mind to the point where you're not making any sense, it's very hard to go back to normalcy even after a clearing because you're so confused. They literally scramble your brain. So that is one of the most damaging things the reptilians do is they damage your consciousness, right? But the Greys don't. The Greys try and damage your physical body. They try and break you physically. So they're very different. And that's one of the reasons why the fuckers are working together now, too. You've got Greys and reptilians taking point. Was it yesterday? I tuned in, right? And I asked, what's causing all this damage? And they said reptilians and Greys. Then I said, are they both there now? And they said, no, they're taking turns. And I was like, what do you mean they're taking turns? And Zach explained, no, the Greys will come in for 2 weeks, and then the Greys will leave, and the reptilians will come in for 2 weeks. And they swap. So they're not stepping on each other's toes. So they're not like, they don't have to share. They take turns. So for 2 weeks, she's getting psychologically harassed. And then for another 2 weeks, she's getting physically harassed. As you can tell, this shit pisses me off. That's why I'm fiery about it. I don't think there's anything that pisses me off more than finding out a Grey has been causing these kinds of problems for people. Because they're basically like mad scientists. There's no rhyme or reason to any of this. People are like, well, maybe they're trying to do experiments for the hybrid program. Maybe they're trying to save their race from annihilation due to their own genetic over manipulation. They GMO'd themselves so badly, they can't even reproduce anymore. So what do? Somebody said, what do the Greys hate? Sage? No, Greys don't even have a sense of smell. Because I asked, I said, how come the Greys aren't phased by smell? Zach said they can't even smell. I was like, okay, that makes sense. That explains a lot of things, especially the trash panda Greys, because they can't even smell themselves. They have no idea that they smell like 2-week-old garbage that's been sitting in the sun for 2 weeks fermenting. Like, that's what they smell like. And they have no idea. They don't have a soul, Jacob. No, Jacob said they don't even have a soul. No, they don't. The Greys do not have souls. They're programmed. They're clones. They're GMOs. And they're programmed to cause problems. That's it. They're not programmed to heal anything. They're not programmed to study anything. They're literally just delusional psychopaths that have, technology that they can use on people. So what gets rid of Greys? Soul guides. Trained soul guides get rid of Greys.
Satan and demons, not aliens.
Yep, the Klan is reforming in the US and authorities might be helping them. And many believe the body found hanging at the police station in DC is a warning that the next time Black Americans call 911, no one will answer. Residents were horrified after a video circulated of the tree at 9th and Quackenbow Street in Northwest DC, directly behind the 4th District Precinct, with the body staged on the most surveilled block in the neighborhood. And it's not just a life taken, it's a sign that they're not protecting us. Haunting reports show this is the 5th Black man found hanging from a tree across 5 states in just several months, with every case ruled as a self-unaliving within just hours by the same U.S. authorities. But it gets much darker as the Southern Poverty Law Center tracks active Klan cells across dozens of states with memberships in the thousands in each state, and researchers warning the movement is openly trying to gain support for the first time in decades. And this silence from every news institution is exactly the acceptance and support they were looking for.
I don't know how this happens. People still can't explain it. They created this thing to discover, is there other timelines? What makes up the universe? When they first fired it up, called the first beam, guess what date it was? September 10th. And who died on September 10th? Charlie Kirk. Remember the day that he died? Some weird shit was going on. There's footage. There's a chair, literally, that goes through a table and then reappears on the floor. You can see it. Yeah. Right if he gets smoked, it goes through the table. It's right behind him. It's weird that he died on the same day that they fire up CERN, so it's some type of nexus point. It's a point in time to where it stems off from a bunch of other things. So now we're crossing over timelines. Timelines are bleeding over. All this stuff is happening.
We are in a different timeline because of that. We're hidden atoms. We're jumping timelines.
So I was going through the Epstein files the other day and I noticed something that I haven't seen anybody talking about. This is an image from the files taken on Epstein's Island. As you can see here, here's the EFTA number, but I want you to look right here. In some versions of this photo that I've seen online, this image has been redacted in this area. And if we zoom in, we can see why. As you can see above me, these are 2 images of what appear to be children on Epstein Island, and no context at all is given for these photos. We don't know whose children these are. We don't know why pictures of these kids are in and on Epstein's Island. And once again, to me, it's just one of those strange things where usually, let's say you go to your uncle's house or your aunt's house, they're going to have pictures of your entire family, like your mom, your dad, you, your brother. They're not just going to have a photograph really of you or your brother. I mean, they might, but if you take a look at Epstein's properties, there are so many pictures of children all over the place. It is just so incredibly strange and eerie. And I've talked about this before. I mean, Epstein was a maximalist. He loved putting pictures on every single surface. And the pictures never make sense, and they're so strange. So if anybody has seen any information about who these kids might be, I would really appreciate you letting me know because I can find absolutely nothing online.
Never stop talking about the Epstein files.
Take a look at this disturbing video posted by a gentleman who has only posted the following 3 videos on TikTok. He just started 5 days ago. Brand new account. These are the only 3 videos he's posted. It seems to be thermal imagery from a drone of something disturbing taking place in some mountainous wooded areas. He posted in Spanish, so I imagine it's somewhere near the border or in Mexico. It looks as though a gentleman is being chased by some sort of creature, but before that, he captures imagery of a group of gentlemen standing in a circle, dragging a body into the middle of it that looks like some sort of satanic worship. Then he captures a house. On top of these mountains, there's supposed to be no houses, and somebody's hiding in one of them. And I imagine it's the person that ends up being chased by this creature. Take a look.
Gentleman's name is AI.
Of Christianity with many other things, with obviously politics and government, and the government being founded really on a lot of Masonic principles. So with the idea of the mix of church and state, we've been reading this book by Phyllis Kathleen Galt called The Phoenix Rising, Birthing Its Strong Delusion.
Amazing book.
Yeah, in the first 3 chapters so far, I would say so, but she really good idea of the connection between Freemasons, rising universal religion, that's this chapter, but talking about the church and state and what America was actually founded on. But she writes in this chapter, and she's talking about Sir Francis Bacon, and his book, The New Atlantis, because we see a lot of this kind of language, but Manly P. Hall stated that in this book, The New Atlantis, Sir Francis Bacon veiled ideas in symbols as he presented a story of a ship that blew off course while sailing from Peru to China. The men aboard this vessel arrived in the Wise Man City, or Ben Salem, which means the Son of Peace. Freemasons, who were involved with our country's founding, claim that this parable portrays America as Solomon's house, the New Jerusalem, the New Atlantis, or the third promised land of esoteric philosophers. Mr. Hall says this allegory points to the Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and other societies who follow the mystery religions of ancient Egypt and Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. These individuals, this is the key, these individuals came to America. We talk about people coming to America to escape religious persecution back then, and to really elevate the Bible and want to live for the Lord. Well, this is the other side of that.
Right.
These individuals came to America because the Roman Catholic Church forced their secret knowledge underground. The state and government, Roman Catholic Church, basically forced this secret knowledge underground. He says America has a hidden destiny to become a philosophical utopia. And I think that's what we're seeing, is that, especially in Trump, we're seeing this MAGA group, and we're seeing the letter after P, for lack of a better term. We're seeing all this being raised up as America has this utopian land.
Well, and it's not biblical. And worse than that, it's idolatrous. It's idolatrous of a nation. It's idolatrous of
especially
a people group.
Us as individuals before the Lord.
It's actually a very similar history to South Africa. And so what I'm saying too, Malema's red cap, Traore's red cap, Trump's red hat, red shield, Rothschilds, the Roman signature, the Pope, the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, communism, communist China, all of the white is Rome. All of the left is Mecca. And that seems to be merging. That seems to be the new Antichrist religion.
Everything hidden will be revealed.
After reading the Epstein files, we all know the real reason why the Clintons were just admitted into Walter Reed Hospital. It's because they're having increasing symptoms of the Kuru disease, the cannibal brain-eating one. And if you don't know what that is, I'll explain it to you. But first I gotta show you that we knew that Hillary Clinton was sick 10 years ago and was having issues appearing in public. So that's why we haven't seen much of her or her husband, because they've been having this terrible disease, which comes from eating brains. If you eat the human brains of someone else, there's this protein called a prion, and it will live inside of you for years and most likely be dormant until your old age, when it starts suddenly having more drastic effects. The most prominent symptom is uncontrollable head shaking and laughter. People with Kuru also have to routinely excrete green mucus from their throat, which is disgusting, but you can see in this clip right here. And in the later stages of Kuru, as seen with Jeffrey Epstein here, you'll start to see mouth sores pop up all over the place, which are highly transmissible.
My goodness. Adrenochrome withdrawal.
I'm the most feared man in Hollywood. They don't like me in Hollywood. Why do they not like you in Hollywood? I don't wear dresses. I don't do that gay stuff on TV. You had to get some other black person to do that stuff.
Martin tried to put me in my first dress. You know, we get in that office and this fool pull out Big Mama's House too. I almost died. And I gotta read this script in front of all these good white people. where this nigga want me to get in a dress with him. And I'm literally saying to everybody, why is he in a dress again? You already played the old lady as an FBI agent. We can play anything now. We can be playing a dog catcher this time. Why do we need to be in a dress? And I get so mad, I say, you don't want me. You want Brandon T. Jackson. And that's who they went and got.
That's Debo, man.
This absolutely terrifying amusement park is 400 feet or 120 meters underground, and it's in a 2,000-year-old salt mine. Let's talk about it. Not to mention there's a massive lake
What is your tattoo over there?
down there that you can go on a little paddle boat in, and this is absolutely horrifying. It's called Salina Turda, and it's in Romania, and it is in a massive salt mine, so that's why it's called Salina, and then Turda is like the place where it is. You get to it by going down in this elevator. Well, there's multiple different layers of it, but this elevator takes you down to the lowermost level, where the water is. There's a whole bunch of activities. There's a Ferris wheel that looks straight out of hell. There's a bowling alley, and of course some mini golf. There's multiple different areas of this entire thing, but this is the creepiest part of it by far. And it's surrounded by this pitch black lake that is 2,000 years old. Keep in mind, this is in Romania and it's like right by Transylvania. So yeah, that water absolutely has vampires in it. Some kind of whale vampire, I swear. Whale vampire demons. That's for sure what's down there. Would you go out on this boat and go out in there? No. There's this demon porcupine statue sculpture thing. I don't know though, man. This massive like elevator that takes you down there and is like made of glass and you can see each level. Like it's cool. I would go with people, but like to go alone would be so liminal spaces coded. To have this massive bridge that takes you over onto the water part. It's the water that scares me the very most of this place. And the massive like salt lick mine walls. There's something so creepy about this. They have concerts that take place down there, which could you imagine the acoustics down there? That would honestly be sick. Here's another photo of like the boat situation. I don't know though, man. Like imagine you were like stuck down there and you couldn't leave and then all the lights went out and you were I'm way overthinking this, aren't I? Would you visit this place?
Yes.
How they
doesn't look scary at all, I think. Pretty beautiful if you ask me.
Manipulate us through colors. So if you look at McDonald's, if you look at Carl's Jr., if you look at Subway and all these other places, they all have red, orange, yellow. I made the correlation. I'm like, wait, aren't those colors your lower chakras? You're more animalistic when it comes to, you know, sexual or primal, food, hunger. They make that correlation. So I was very interested in like, okay, that has to do with chakras.
I think there's more to it too than just the lower chakras. I noticed this weird thing that elites do where they are always trying to make a mention of who they are worshiping. Red is the color of blood, sacrifice. So that's why we see like a lot of red in like music videos and stuff because they're trying to like pay a tribute to the gods that they actually worship.
Oh, got you. That makes sense.
Yeah, but I never thought of it that way. So
yeah. And they have to show you, you know, before they do it or show you in your higher self because your higher self is going to pick up on it or your subconscious, your higher self.
Yes.
So when they have these subliminal messages, you won't see it for what it is, but then your subconscious will pick it up. And that's why they do that through movies, music.
It's through acceptance.
Right.
You know, the whole do as thou wilt. It's a Luciferian ideology that they can do whatever they want as long as they tell us first.
Damn, so that's a real thing. I mean, from my research, you know, I've always
knew that.
Yeah, I've always known that, but just like
crazy to hear.
It's
right?
crazy to hear. Yeah, it's just crazy to hear.
We're their little projects, man.
From what you see is just at the top of water level, but the water level goes down another 40 feet. Keep in mind that each one of those stones is almost 100 tons, you know, I mean, basically the backyard of the temple of Seti the First at Abydos. And then, you know, the temple was built up above it. And in that temple, that's where they had one of these arcs that the Templars found. And that's also where those hieroglyphs of the helicopter and the...
Is that it?
The whole place is very mysterious. You know, I mean...
do you know the conventional explanation to how those stones are cut there?
No, they don't know.
to be honest. I mean, they know it's rose granite. They know it comes from Aswan, which is
500 miles away.
Yeah. There's a lot of mystery surrounding it.
There is an ex-president who is still operating in the underground tunnel systems and trafficking kids in Africa through orphanages. I don't really want to say the name online right now, but it's a very popular president, and he is married to a man. It was never the first lady. The chef was going to expose him because he eats children, and he was cooking and preparing these bodies and was going to expose them. And, suddenly he ends up disappearing.
Is that the one that drowned?
Yes. And this whole Pizzagate scandal is going to resurface, and a lot of people are going to start seeing through all of the symbolisms.
Flashes of lights. The Apollo astronauts, when they're in space, they were reporting just these random bursts of color lights, sometimes in geometric patterns, and we see them even when we close our eyes. It was very patternized, so they both see it at the same time.
Yeah.
Even with all the lights off, with their eyes closed, turned out to be, or what they say it was radiation.
Radiation creates these shapes, physically when you're looking at them?
The radiation is literally entering your brain, and so you can visibly see it. So that's why this Orion capsule, the Artemis 2, it took them so long because they had to figure out the right covering for radiation passing through the Van Allen belt. The Apollo dudes just blasted through that thing, and their radiation was just penetrating their brain.
You wouldn't be alone though, because everyone else is experiencing too, so it makes sense. Okay, it's something scientific. It's something.
What is that?
Yeah, dude.
Masons have been putting y'all together for a long time, so I want you to look at the symbol. Everybody's seen it, but nobody knows how to read it. There's 3 pieces: the compass, the square, and the letter G that sits right in the center. There's 3, and that's your first number. The compass then sits at 60 degrees. The angle of the equilateral triangle, the most stable geometric form in existence. So 6 plus 0, which is the 60, equals 6. The square is a builder's tool, a right angle, 90 degrees, 9 plus 0 is 9. So here you have 3, 6, and 9. Tesla said if you understand the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, then you'd have the key to the universe. In vortex mathematics, every number in existence produces through a pattern. 1 doubles to 2, 2 doubles to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 7, 7 to 5, 5 goes back to 1. That loop runs forever. But 3, 6, and 9 never enter the loop. They sit outside the loop and they govern the pattern. That's why they put this inside of their symbol. What's up with the G? Everybody thinks it stands for God. In the Lodge, they call it the great architect of the universe. But the letter G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. 7 is the code that creation runs on. 7 days of the week, 7 notes in a musical scale, 7 colors in the visible spectrum of light, 7 chakras, 7 seals in Revelation. The compass marks 6 equal chords around a circle, creating a hexagon. But when you add the center point, you get 7, the hidden number, the one they don't put on the symbol because it is the symbol. Look at the background, purple indigo. Indigo sits at the third eye, the seat of intuition. The frequency where you stop thinking and you start receiving. In Masonic tradition, purple represents the union of the blue lodge and the red of the royal ark, the merging of the earthly and the spiritual. What does the whole symbol actually say? 369 is the code. 7 is the creation frequency it unlocks. And the pattern tells you where it enters, through the crown, through the stillness, through the space where you stop performing consciousness and start channeling it. Manly P. Hall wrote that the compass represents the divine, the square represents the material, and the G is the bridge between them. The entire symbol is a map. The compass points up, spirit, the square sits below, matter, and the G is the center, which is you. The 7th note, the center point, the one who walks between worlds. They've been showing us the blueprint the whole time. 369 is not a trend, it's not a manifestation hack, it's the operating system. And someone encoded it into a symbol, hung it on the wall of every lodge on earth, and waited to see who'd actually look. So here's time for you to look. Thank you, and I love you.
I will remain a Christian. Hard pass.
One in recent years was I had several individuals contacted me completely independently, telling me how I'd started talking about downloads, and I'm really fascinated with consciousness, and I'm sure we'll get onto consciousness, but I'm fascinated with the idea that the real mystery, I don't really care anymore about the nuts and bolts claim of craft aliens. It's kind of like tangential. To me, the real mystery is consciousness and what's going on with human minds, and what's the meaning of our relationship in all of this. If there are beings that are engaging with this planet, why are they interested in us, us humans, or at least some humans? And I keep on coming back to this consciousness.
We're created in the image of God, the true God.
Mystery. And a lot of people have been telling me about what they get are downloads. In some cases, in many cases, it's either creative downloads. They're inspired to write beautiful art, or to do beautiful art, or write beautiful music, or scientific ideas. Literally, schematics, diagrams come into their heads and they write them down.
I just found out about this place, and I didn't walk, I ran to TikTok to tell you all about this. There are 9 of these massive dragons. By the way, look how tiny those people are on the teeth. Oh my God. They're in China, in Dongqing City, and there are 9 of these giant dragons that are snaking off of the path. And they're completely abandoned there, left to rot, with a bunch of weird stuff inside of them. Here's some people inside the mouth, and you can see the teeth. Oh my God, my megalophobia is screaming. Here's someone climbing on top of it. Do not do this, by the way. Please do not do this. Here's someone by one of the fingernails. In one of them, there's this massive fish coming out of the wall. An octopus? Are you stupid? Me. This is the face I made when I saw those giant dragons. Like, look how tiny they are in comparison to them. Like, bruh. Look how tiny they are. And these things are massive. This is inside one of them. Like, really cool architecture.
They're massive. Wow.
Things. But, oh my God, to know they're out there in the dark. Just 9 huge, very, very, very long dragons out there in an abandoned area where nobody goes. Yeah, there is security and you're not allowed to go there, so don't do it. But by George, these things are freaky, and one of the hugest things that I've ever seen. And to know that there's 9 of them out there, would you ever explore this place? I'm just thinking about when the world floods one day and there's all 9 of those dragons completely submerged underwater.
I want to know when or why they were built and then abandoned. It's so wild.
99% of humans on the planet have no idea who this guy is. What y'all don't know, everyone on this planet, if you breathe and you exist, you work for him. Every single human on this planet works for Pepe Orsini. Here he is. He's also known as the Grey Pope, Pepe Orsini. This is the man that rules the whole fucking world. And if you're wondering, I'll explain. We currently know that the most powerful men in the world are in the Epstein list. And we heard from Les Wexner, the owner of Victoria's Secret, that Jeffrey Epstein works for the Rothschild family, the banking family. We know that. So Israel, the state of Israel, Netanyahu, everyone is under the Rothschild family. Everyone works for the Rothschild family. Let me show you the leader of the Rothschild family. This man is the patriarch of the Rothschild family. This used to be the patriarch. He died 2 years ago. And now his son is the leader of all the banking systems in the world. And Epstein worked for this guy. Well, what you don't know is these families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and those elite families, they work for one family, the most quiet family. They work for the Orsinis. What you don't know, they call him the Grey Pope. Catholic Church rules everything. The Catholic Church is still the most powerful entity in the world. And the Catholic Church is split into 3 leaders. There's a Black Pope. The Black Pope is the leader of the Jesuit order who do intelligence and military and whatnot. And then the White Pope is the visible Pope, the one everyone knows. The Grey Pope is a mix of the white and the black. That's why he's gray. He runs everyone, runs everything. The Pope answers to this guy. So, for those of you that don't know, now you do. This is, for lack of a better word, he is literally the owner of planet Earth.
If you know their names, they don't run the world.
They told us Gerald wasn't real and that we need to move on. Now I know more than ever that Gerald was real. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, I did a story recently. It's going crazy on the ground. Gerald is the leader of a pod of dolphins that kidnapped a human and made the human build them a whole entire underwater city with townhouses, condos, the works. And he's a guy that's qualified to do it. I tell you the credentials. The credentials were there. Anyway,
Man, that guy is snitching on Gerald.
Debunked the story. They said it wasn't true. It was fake. Move on, carry on. There's nothing to see here. That's what they told us.
Carry
They told
on.
us Gerald wasn't real. Why a few days later? The area that Gerald was said to have kidnapped the guy, almost 42 dolphins have washed ashore. That does not happen. I'll tell you how rare this is. Normally it's 30 dolphins per year. There's been 42 so far this year. It's only March. What you see on the beach, they're trying to find Gerald. They're mad that the story got out. I'm telling you, allegedly. Listen, Gerald is the leader of the pod, and he's the one that gave him the air bubble so that he could communicate with Gerald when drowned. He was down there 40 feet for 3 days, and he built the city for them. Guy goes to the doctor. He has marine particles in his lungs. This story is so real. They had the Coast Guard out there. They had the FBI out there looking for Gerald. And all of a sudden, 42 dolphins have washed ashore when it's normally 30 per year. And it's been 42. And since the story dropped, it was 20 of them. I'm telling you, they're mad that we know now that Gerald was real. I'm going to follow this up. I'm going to keep up with it because when I say I am more than excited to tell you that there is underwater sea of people that can breathe underwater and that there's hope. That's what that gives me.
I like that.
From
I like that.
Black Panther 2 gives me hope. And I feel like this is a good news story. Gerald, the dolphin, is real, allegedly. I'm telling you, you should have saw the helicopters out there. You should have saw them looking for Gerald. The U.S. is amok. We have to keep you updated. We have to let you know what's going on.
Palm Beach Pete, Gerald the dolphin. What is going on in Florida, folks?
The Ethiopian Bible, what is it?
The Ethiopian tradition is interesting because they include First Enoch, which is 108 chapters, the first 37 of which are called the Book of Watchers. And it gets really into some very speculative ideas about the Nephilim, which is this interesting race mentioned in Genesis 6. That's where we get this idea of this sentient race that copulates with women to produce this hybrid race. The Book of Enoch begins to speculate for 37 chapters about who this race was, who these giants are. And it's really fun and interesting, but it's not historical. First Enoch specifically, which is in the Ethiopian Bible, from a historical perspective, does nothing to help us understand Genesis 6 and the Nephilim at all. First Enoch was never removed from our Christian Bibles. It was part of the canon or library of Ethiopian Christians because their text developed in much more isolation, because it's amazing there are any Christians at all in Ethiopia after the Islamic conquest.
Have we ever talked about Clarita Villanova?
No, I don't think so.
Because her story was made into an actual movie.
Really?
Yeah, it was like an exorcism story. Her whole life, she was struggling. I think she lost her mom, dad. The guy that she eloped with got married and like cheated on her. But then she also got sent to prison because the people in the Philippines thought she was a homeless person. But in the prison, this is what really fucked her up. In her cell, she said that she can see two creatures that would leave different bite marks around her body.
Oh my god, so literally like Aswang.
I think it's the Aswang because a lot of people said it looked like vampire bites. And take in, she has a single cell. She's not in there with no one.
Damn.
And whenever she gets bit, she goes unconscious and she can't even say it because she's so scared. She was like, it looks like a curly hair, long with two fangs at the side.
Yeah, that's literally Aswang.
Every Filipino like healer, shaman couldn't get out the demon out of her. So Pastor Lester Summerall from America to the Philippines, the only one that could get the demon out of her. When he started the ritual, Clarita started speaking English.
Oh.
She could only speak Tagalog, but it was English and she was talking bad about God.
Whoa.
English accent. She didn't sound like how she was. It took her a 3-day ritual to get the demon out completely.
They have to check off boxes to disclosure, to let us know things. You know, the same time they launched up to the moon, it was postponed right when the war broke out in the Middle East with the U.S., and that seems to have taken a turn, and they see the light at the end of the tunnel for all that is, and then they launched to the moon. Then they had aliens.gov they created. The White House took out URLs for aliens.gov right before they launched. So I think that it's going to be an excuse at some point. They're going to go to the moon, and they're going to have contact out there, rather than have motherships land over the White House or the Kremlin or somewhere. I think they're going to have contact out there, and then they can sell us. They're going to give us a bunch of peck-a-lies. Let's call it.
That's all they know how to do: deceive humanity.
So when Robert Schoch said that the Sphinx enclosure might actually be 12,000 years old,
They're like, show me the potsherds from 12,000 years ago. A little while later, they find megalithic stone construction and bedrock carving out of limestone in Göbekli Tepe, and they attribute it to who? The pre-pottery Neolithic. So so we don't need potsherds anymore to have giant megalithic construction with bedrock cutting and excavating of limestone?
Ancient Technology Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.
The first time I ever went over to the moon, this Pleiadian being came into my room.
Those are demons.
And said, there's a meeting in 2 days' time, and I want to take you to this meeting. And I said, okay. And I followed him with
monitoring spirit, asking you to be manipulated in the spirit.
My astral body. Mm-hmm. He's traveling off-planet.
Astral projection is something common in the New Age where you leave your body, go into a supernatural state. It's demonic and opens up portals for demons to enter you.
And we're going towards the moon. It was a meeting inside the moon. What? There was this huge hollowed-out space in.
She's reciting a book that was seen on the David Icke show for the Moon Matrix. It's literally about 2 Russian scientists that believe that the moon is an astral planetoid for harboring alien life form. She's repeating something that's already been said in tons of other books.
The moon. And there was all these beings, hundreds of thousands of interdimensional beings sitting in this sort of...
They're not beings, they're hundreds and thousands of demons.
Auditorium inside the moon. That's when they're like, we are the Galactic Federation.
The Galactic Federation is talked a lot about in the New Age, and she's again reciting things that have already written in books.
We would like to talk about the ascension of planet Earth, and here are the things that you need to know.
Wow. Hey, thank you for this. Finally, someone else is calling her out.
Mama.
Wow.
Yeah. Mama.
Oh God.
I'm about to explain to y'all exactly why.
Man, I want a dolphin pet.
I believe that man that said the bottlenose dolphin stole him and made him go to the bottom of the ocean and make condos. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm going to tell y'all exactly why I believe him. It's crazy that in 2026, we believe a story like this. I'll probably be like, who's we? I don't believe. Listen, I do, and I'm going to tell you why. So, did y'all know? First of all, dolphins are insanely smart. And I know you've heard that before, but let me explain it. A long time ago, there was something called dolphin-assisted births, right? Basically, where dolphins would sense a pregnant woman and come up to her. And the man that studied this, I think his name was Igor Tchaikovsky or something like that. So basically, all the dolphins would start circling this pregnant woman and use their sonar to essentially be able to allow her to give birth in a matter of 20 minutes painlessly. And that could sound like a freaking fairy tale to you. Fine. But did y'all know that in the Vietnam War, dolphins were trained to sniff out bombs in the ocean? And the U.S. government literally uses dolphins to arrest people. They'll have dolphins follow Navy ships, and when they see like divers that are unauthorized in the area, they clamp this device that explodes and then cuffs them. Dolphins are just these, just creatures in the ocean, whatever. Then why did NASA have a whole entire study trying to teach dolphins to talk? In which case, a dolphin actually fell in love with a trainer. Sorry, y'all, I'm taking care of my daughter. But a dolphin actually fell in love with a trainer because she literally yanked him off from time to time. Like, he grew an attachment to her. And when she finally left, he went to the bottom of his captivity, opened his blowhole, and unalived himself. I just want to know why she was yanking off a dolphin. And I just want to know, did she go to jail? Because Peter, the dolphin's name was Peter. Peter was a victim. Anyway, y'all. Those dolphins took that man. I'm telling y'all right now. The ocean is otherworldly. You cannot you can't just say something isn't real. You can't. Because we don't know what's there. I don't know. As always, make sure you guys like and follow. Comment down below what you think.
The scary thing to me about this whole thing is like when you study ancient civilizations, they all made child sacrifice to these beings, these deities in exchange for wealth and power. And it's kind of like when you see declassified files come out about the government tracking ancient bloodlines and hybrid people, it's kind of like, how old are these people really?
Well, it's funny you say that because a lot of celebrities that we look at look exactly like people we find in 1700.
Yeah, I mean, Epstein looked like Andrew Jackson. He looked exactly like him.
Identical.
You see the CIA officer who came out and said he was in a time travel program?
Yes. Yeah.
Break that down.
I just saw that. I didn't see that.
There are certain videos online that you can find where you see people in there like in the 1400s walking like they on a cell phone. And then the guy Epstein in the file said,
that's crazy.
We need to test the biological effects of time travel on the human body.
Right. And mutants in the same email.
It's in the file.
And all of these demons are trannies, basically.
Get Yeah.
Transformers, pause, whatever. Because, bro, it's just getting out of hand, bro. I'm ready to up Drake. It's kind of like, what else can you do,
Yeah,
bro?
this is some like, yo, how are we a society after knowing all of this shit? How is everybody just going to work and just thinking that this shit is cool?
You know, a lot of people are purposely ignoring the truth that has come out. We need everyone to be fully aware to truly invoke change.
Back in the day, she was a talent scout at Disney. It's around 100 kids every year that go missing from Disney. And some people like to believe there's tunnels below Disney, but there kind of has to be, because there's so much surveillance and so much people walking around. It's got to be one of those things where you got tunnels in the bathrooms. There's got to be some type of shit going on, because it's not that easy to just pick up a kid and run out the amusement park. It can't be that simple. It's got to be a little more complex. And I do think that there are more underground tunnels and stations than there are to be believed. So 21 trillion has been vanished. Some people say military black budget, working on UFOs and reverse engineering crafts and new weapons and biochemical weapons and all this shit. That's where that 21 trillion went missing. But I think the real place that money has gone, a good chunk of it, is the underground tunnels and building underground cities.
To traffic kids.
What happens when two of the most powerful occultists in the world get into a fight? Well, it ends in the least magical way possible. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was a secret magical society operating out of London in the late 1800s, and its membership list was insane, including famous heavy hitters like Bram Stoker of Dracula fame, Arthur Conan Doyle, the novelist who created Sherlock Holmes, and W.B. Yeats, one of the greatest poets of all times. History contains multitudes. In 1898, Aleister Crowley joins and immediately starts to climb the ranks in an ego-fueled effort to take over, and predictably, the other members were not amused. They blocked him from advancing in the order and made it very clear that he was no longer welcome. Shockingly, Crowley does not take this well. So he travels to Paris, gets in touch with the founder of the Golden Dawn, a magician named MacGregor Mathers, and convinces him to deputize him to seize control of the London Temple by force. Mathers furnishes him with spells, exorcisms, and apparently advises him to wear full Scottish Highland dress for the occasion. So in April of 1900, Crowley shows up to 36 Blythe Road wearing a kilt, a black mask, an enormous gold cross, and a dagger, making the inverted sign of the pentagram and shouting threats at everyone inside. Yeats and two other members come forward and meet him at the top of the staircase, and that's when it starts. Crowley on the stairs below, Yeats holding the high ground from above, and both of them shouting spells, performing ritual gestures with their hands. Crowley advancing one step at a time, slow, deliberate, calling on every ounce of magical force he had spent years cultivating. Yeats, however, was not moving. He was holding the line, hurling exorcisms back down. One step, then another. Crowley was getting closer, and the energy in that stairwell was building into something that neither of them could fully control. But Crowley was unstoppable, and he was winning. That's when Yeats, future Nobel Prize winner, decided he had run out of patience for the metaphysical approach, and he kicks Crowley square in the chest. Yeats yeets Crowley down the stairs, and the battle is over. The police were called, and then Crowley was asked to leave the property. Shortly after, Crowley was removed from the Golden Dawn permanently and went on to start Thelema. But here's the thing. Their fight was not really about a staircase, leadership, or any of that. It was about what magic is for, whether it's a discipline and a path, or simply a tool for personal power with no real ethical limits attached. And occultists are still kicking each other down the proverbial stairs over this to this very day. So comment below. Are you Team Yeats or Team Crowley? Because it's still a live debate, and I want to know where you land. Hopefully, not at the bottom of a stairwell. Stay salty.
I'm Team Christ. Oh, I imagine this as like that episode from South Park with the psychics.
I'm Christy Nicola. I was a subject in radiation, as well as mind control and drug experiments performed by a man I knew as Dr. Green. And Donald Richard Ebner, my natural father, was involved with Dr. Green in the experiments. Dr. Green performed radiation experiments on me in 1970. All these experiments were performed on me in conjunction with mind control techniques and drugs in Tucson, Arizona. Dr. Green was using me mostly as a mind control subject. His objective was to gain control of my mind and train me to be a spy assassin. The first significant memory took place at Kansas City University in 1966. I was in what looked like a laboratory, and there seemed to be other children. I was strapped down, naked, spread eagle, on a table, on my back. Dr. Green had electrodes on my body, including my head. He used what looked like an overhead projector and repeatedly said he was burning different images into my brain while a red light flashed aimed at my forehead. In between each sequence, he used electric shock on my body and told me to go deeper and deeper, while repeating each image would go deeper into my brain, and I would do whatever he told me to do. I felt drugged because he had given me a shot before he started the procedure. When it was over, he gave me another shot. The next thing I remember, I was with my grandparents again in Tucson, Arizona. I was 4 years old.
Been telling y'all this for a long time. Enki is a reptilian humanoid, and he's Lucifer in the same energy. Nehemiah, this is his sister that was his wife that he ended up marrying, having babies with, all types of things. The reptilian humanoid who is Lucifer, and Ninmah Hersag is his sister. Her main reason of coming to Kai, Earth, which is what Earth was called as Kai, was to be with her brother. Meaning coming to Earth, coming from up under the Earth, inner Earth, to coming to the top of the Earth. They were lovers as much as they were sisters and brothers. Anu claimed the throne of Nibiru because of the law of the seed. Though the law of the seed, he was hitherto to the throne and gave Allahua a fair chance in a street fight for the throne. And when Anu overpowered him, he bit off Anu's manhood and swallowed it. The ancient text written on stone continued. This was because they were reptilians, like walking crocodiles with power of speech. Crocodiles that could speak. You see what I'm saying? These are the same gods, deities.
See what I'm saying?
Serpents from the Bible. This is before then. These beings, they're the same. One of them, Enlil is from the Yahweh pantheon. Enki is from the Lucifer pantheon. They're both still Annunaki. Do you understand what I'm saying? These are the Anunnaki. These are the creators of men, as you would say. They spliced the seed of humans with their DNA. These were the Anunnaki. These were these same deity gods. These are not the source of the Great Spirit. These are not the Great Spirit, the all God Almighty. These are deities who messed with humanity, but come from the same source of humanity. They're the same source. We had mental power. They gave us language. They live off worship. There's lower level vibrational beings that are interdimensional and that need to have these type of bodies or certain type of reptilian body that's sympathetic to their lower vibrational energy. This is why they do shit like incest. This is why they do shit like bite off each other's manhoods, because they're reptilians. They're carnivores. They are crocodile that could speak, that had consciousness, that had technology.
This is confusion, folks. Don't believe this crap.
One of the plants that's emphasized within Freemasonry in particular is the acacia. If you do these processes to the acacia, you can extract DMT. One of the undercurrents to the Masonic tradition. It was something that
doorway to demons.
They had inherited from the Knights Templar as they were traveling in the Middle East and who were translating alchemical texts from the Greek and Roman and Egyptian times.
Is it common practice within Freemasonry to take DMT and to do these psychedelics?
I wouldn't say it's common practice. There are brothers who do. There's a lot of subtleties in Freemasonry and the ritual. To the ancient people, they saw this as magic. You know, they saw this as the presence of God.
It's interesting. Like this kind of history is so fascinating, but when you really look at it, the crazy thing about it is like going back to the sources, like for Noah, just for an example.
Sure.
Like Noah wasn't even written about until like 1200 years after he died.
Correct. Yeah, sure.
So imagine
Or
that
more.
today. Imagine me and you having
Right.
this conversation
Right.
today.
Right.
And then it just like a cataclysm happens. And then in 1,000 years, oh, Tim and Danny had this conversation 1,000 years ago.
Right.
What are the chances that the story is going to be anywhere near accurate?
Oh my gosh, we have to get into the tea about Poseidon. He was a menace. Like, him and his brother Zeus, like, they needed to go. So you already know we've been diving into the book of Enoch, and we have come to the conclusion that the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods, all these other gods were just fallen angels. So now we are linking how obvious it really was, because like they were obsessed with mortal women. And one of the gods, the Greek gods that was like the most obsessed besides Zeus, has to be Poseidon, like hands down. This dude was crazy. Let's get into it. So y'all already know that Poseidon was the god of the sea, and he would send earthquakes, he would send tsunamis. If he got mad, y'all, he was unaliving towns. He was unaliving cities. It did not matter. But basically, we're going to talk about Aethra. This is supposedly the lore. Like, there's different versions of it. So don't come for me if it's a little different than what you heard. Basically, Athena, which we know Athena is not a gross girl. In the second story I'm about to tell you, you guys are going to figure that out very quickly. You probably know that story. So basically, Aethra was a lady that had many suitors, and she basically had been with a king, if you know what I mean, because he wanted to marry her. She laid down with the king, and when Poseidon heard that there was another suitor, like, really at the top that she might marry, he was like, oh nah, like, I need her yams. I need that. So he conspires with Athena to tell her to go to Aethra in a dream and trick her into thinking this was like divine intervention and send her to this island. Now Aethra goes to the island, and there Poseidon is waiting in the fog, and he R-words her in the freaking fog. Like, ew, predator much? Now, like I said, in another version, she goes there and it was consensual, but anytime I see R-word and then all of a sudden in another version it's consensual, I'm not buying it. So now, fast forward, we're going to talk about Medusa. Like, this one gets me so upset. So Medusa, before she was a Gorgon, which means she had the snakes for hair and stuff, she was a priestess. She was the head priestess for Athena. And y'all already know priestesses are celibate. They don't do that. And Medusa was also a very beautiful girl who also had a lot of suitors, but obviously she rejected them and said no because she was a priestess. So Poseidon saw her and said, again, I want the yams. So he comes down and he corners her and tries to come onto her. And she's like, no, I'm good. She starts fleeing to the temple, right? Trying to think, like, if I get to the temple, maybe someone will be able to help me. Athena will help me or something, because Poseidon was upset. He was enraged that she said no. She gets to the steps of the temple, and there he goes, catching up to her, and R-words her right there on the temple step. And y'all know Athena, she's so trifling. Athena literally got mad at her, and that's why she cursed her to become a Gorgon with the snakes on her head. Now, in another version, Poseidon does R-word her, but it said that Athena gave her it as a gift so that she would not be harassed or hurt by any other man, which honestly in the end it ended up being null and void, because she was unalived by a man named Perseus, which we can get into in another video if y'all want the story of the unaliving of Medusa. Perseus came and chopped off her, and basically used her head and the snakes as like a weapon for a whole other reason. Y'all, Poseidon is such a menace. Like, he's done so many things. That's why all these gods, I already knew when I was reading about them. I'm like, oh nah, this has to be fake. Like, y'all have to be fallen angels, because you guys are too corrupt, way too corrupt. As always, y'all, make sure you like, follow, comment down below if you want me to keep doing this series, because y'all know I
there's a movie about it. I forgot the name though.
Oh, it could be a fucking robot.
Bro, it could be anything at this point.
It's not Ghislaine, though.
Yeah.
You know that much.
I mean, you can just look at her. Again, your nose doesn't change. It'll grow, but doesn't change over time.
No, you can't go from looking like Ghislaine to like a Sesame Street character. She looks like Oscar the Grouch.
They
like,
pulled the same move with Joe Biden.
Facts.
That's the same move.
Like, it's not even like an old play.
Why do you guys think that Hollywood is so closely tied to the government? Because of shit like this.
Damn, you would think they would have some better special effects makeup.
They probably don't even give a fuck at this point.
Yeah, they don't. You see that wig?
See how we saw that and then people still go to work the next day?
I'm saying.
Like,
exactly.
They don't fucking care.
They really don't. They're like, wait, hold on. We told these motherfuckers Satanists were eating babies and y'all are still going to work?
Still going to work.
They'll take anything.
We should be flipping the whole table over right now.
I saw a meme. It was a very good point. It said, BLM, we protest. ICE, we protest. LGBTQ, we protest. Missing kids, there was never a protest. There's never been a massive protest on kids or missing kids, and that's been going on since the beginning of time.
Yeah. So what does that tell you then?
They're funded.
They're funded. And this is documented, because if you look at the No Kings protests, you look at BLM, let's just go to the ICE riots, right? There's ICE riot protests, right? If you look at Neville Singham, who's actually a CCP linked billionaire who lives in Shanghai right now, and he's funding these protests. His name is on their flyers.
Just out in the open.
Out in the open. The same thing with the No Kings protests. That was funded by the Waltons. Christy Walton from Walmart. Yeah, that she funded that too. So we have all these billionaires funding these movements who's supposed to be against the elites, but you have elite funded protests?
all
That's crazy.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
Take us down.
Like,
Where they do that at?
so we don't have any protests for missing kids at all?
It hasn't happened.
It's never happened. And
Nobody gives a shit?
I'll wait.
that's crazy.
You know what? The fact that people need to be paid to protest is crazy. This shit sucks here.
Oh, you thought Project 2025 was scary, but you haven't heard about Project Esther yet, have you? Well, we've all been distracted worrying about Project 2025 and looking at statistics to see how much of it has actually come to fruition at this point. Back in October of 2024, the Heritage Foundation submitted Project Esther, and I'm telling you, it's 1,000 times worse than Project 2025 could ever dream of. Project 2025 is just the beginning of this manifesto. And making a comparison, The Handmaid's Tale, that was the first book. The 6 seasons we watched, that was the first book. There are others. Just like Project 2025 was the prologue to what's about to happen with Project Esther. Reading Project 2025, it spoke very clearly about eradicating all religions from the United States. There will only be one God and one Bible, and it will be forced upon you. It is forced practice of religion. You will not be allowed to speak of any other God. You will not be allowed to read any material outside of that Bible. And if you try to practice anything outside of what you are forced to practice, they will imprison you and put you to death. Project Esther also speaks about surveillance. They want us having something inside of our bodies that is implanted.
Antichrist.
Government knows our whereabouts, knows our medical history, our heart rate, our sugar, everything on a 24/7 basis. It talks about suppression, ladies. It talks about the fact that we are no longer considered people. We are the property of our husbands.
Project
Meaning,
Esther is unfolding across the U.S. and most people have no idea what it is, so let's talk about it. Project Esther is a 19-step blueprint to dismantle left-wing activism written by the Heritage Foundation. These steps include things like purging so-called left-wing propaganda from schools, cutting off social media communication, and denying access to demonstrations and protests. It also lists 28 necessary conditions for Project Esther, like number 12 that says not eligible for public funds, number 16 that says not permitted to make money, and number 23 which focuses on breaking down the trust within activism groups. The most terrifying part of this is the intent section that says we will organize rapidly, take immediate action, and achieve all objectives within 2 years from the beginning of our efforts. Our hope is that this will represent an opportunity for a partnership when a willing administration occupies the White House. So based off this timeline, we have 1.5 years left until Project Esther is complete.
And then to take action against those people and institutions. So what does that look like? That looks like visa revocations and deportations, which we've seen. Revoking university grants, getting professors fired. You know, a lot of that has been happening already over the last couple of decades. Project Esther focuses on using RICO, which is anti-racketeering legislation, and FARA, which is Foreign Agents Registration Act, and other laws like that to systematically criminalize and prosecute these people.
Do not participate in Satan's plans.
One of the great secrets of Rosalind Chapel is that depicted throughout Rosalind Chapel are a number of forms of vegetation, which can only be found in the New World of the Americas, including Mayan pyramid temples being depicted. In fact, you literally see Mayan pyramid temples with Native American corn or maize coming out of it, forming the arch. And the Templars did have connections with the Mayans that continue to pass on the same secret Templar grip or handshake, and they continue to do initiation ceremonies that the Templars to this day continue to do as well. A number of the Christian mysteries were believed to be alchemical. I mean, there were Templars / Rosicrucian authors in the past, including people like Robert Flood in the 1600s, that tried to point these connections out. In the story of Jesus, the birth of Jesus, we're told he's born from Mary or Maria, and Maria or Mary means sea. In fact, in particular, it means seawater or salt water. And what happens when you heat up salt water? Well, you get salt through an immaculate virgin birth. Literally, salt cubes come out of the salt water. A salt cube, if you unfold a cube, you get a cross. And
What is
Jesus
this
is
nonsense?
born in Bethlehem, and in Hebrew, Bethlehem.
Jesus is the real person.
House of bread.
The house of bread comes from Bet, meaning house, and Lachem, which is bread. So it's literally house of bread. Well, bread was another name for the secret salt or the manna, both within the Torah, the Old Testament, and within the New Testament.
Pedro, listen.
So when I first saw this video, I immediately thought that he lost a friend or a brother or a sibling or somebody got pulled out to sea by the tide. So at first that's what I was thinking until his family was around him. And then he started acting erratically and screaming just into this, what seems like an empty void. But it turns out what happened was he actually spotted a siren. And he looked at it long enough to where he actually started to fall into the trance that they can induce on a subject to where it'll make them literally just start sprinting out into the ocean and just swimming into the ocean until they come up and grab you or whatever. That's how powerful these things are, allegedly. They're very highly intelligent, and yes, they will feast on humans. Take a look, let me know what you think in the comments.
Hey, look. There you go, bro. Cálmate, Pedro. Oh, there you go. That's the type.
Mami. Pinche.
Pedro, por favor, Pedro.
Ya levántate. Ya es que. Salte de ahí. Sáquete de ahí, cabrón. Pinche. Chingada madre.
Pedro is crazy. Hey, dude, that riptide came up right where he was.
World will see a mass abduction, but what they'll be told is it was from the aliens. The Bible calls it the rapture. We'll be abducted, snatched quickly away by the Lord Jesus Christ, the church, and then the wrath of God comes down, the 7-year tribulation. But they're not going to hear that. They're going to hear it was aliens. In order to fall for the lie of UFOs and aliens, you have to first fall for the lie of evolution. So Satan is so sneaky and tricky. He had to start this thing that it was the aliens, not the rapture. He had to start this 150 years ago and first get the planet to buy into the lie of evolution. And then sure enough, in the 60s and 50s and the black and being white movies, and here comes alien this, alien that. Now today, UFOlogy is the new religion for the 21st century. More people believe that aliens have visited planet Earth than that Jesus is the Son of God.
Yep, that's right. Just know, we will be taken up in the air. Freight.
There's a story that caught our attention. We're talking about a number of U.S. scientists, some connected to very sensitive research, who have died or disappeared. Let's break down what we know so far. We're going to start with Carl Grillmar. Carl Grillmar, pictured here, was an astrophysicist at Caltech. He worked on a NASA-supported space telescope project and infrared systems. Now, he was shot and killed at his home just 2 months ago. Then there's Frank Maywald. He was a senior scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, focused on advanced satellite systems, and he died nearly 2 years ago, but his cause of death has never been made public. Meanwhile, Monica Reza also reportedly connected to NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab project. She went missing last summer while hiking in California. No trace. It keeps going. There's William McCaslin, a retired Air Force general. He too is missing. He's a former head of Air Force Research Lab and oversaw advanced space and surveillance programs. He's been missing since February. And reports say he once oversaw funding connected to a project that also included Monica Reza. Now, there's more. To New Mexico, Melissa Casais. She has been missing since last summer. She worked at Los Alamos National Lab. She had an administrative role, but reportedly also had security clearances. Just months earlier, she went missing. So too did Anthony Chavez, also connected to Los Alamos, an engineer. He disappeared during a walk. No signs, no answers. And then finally, there's Nuno Loureiro. You remember Nuno Loureiro? He was the MIT researcher focused on nuclear fusion and was shot and killed in his Massachusetts home last December. It was the case of the Brown shooter. It's a separate case with no confirmed links to the others. But here's the key point. Authorities have not connected these cases, but look at the overlap. The same handful of institutions, NASA, Air Force Research, Los Alamos Laboratory. So, could they be connected? Or is this something else entirely?
There are no coincidences.
This is absolutely insane to me right now. These scammers used AI to fake an entire video call with multiple executives and they stole $25 million from them. I don't know why I haven't seen literally anybody talking about this because it's insane. This finance worker at a company got invited to a video call with what looked like to be multiple senior executives. And this includes the CFO. And again, it was a video call. They were all there. They discussed on that video call a confidential transaction. And by the end of the meeting, the worker authorized a wire transfer of $25 million. Every single person on that video call was fake. Every single executive, every single face, every single voice, all of it was AI generated deepfakes running in real time. Are we listening to what's happening right now? This is insane. There are experts that are saying that scammers are now starting to use AI tools that anybody can access to impersonate real people in live video calls, and it's happening everywhere. They're able to obviously go out and study company websites, LinkedIn profiles, and YouTube videos to clone voices and faces almost perfectly. Obviously, because we just seen that happen and they stole $25 million. How do you verify that somebody is real when you're literally looking at their face through a screen? This is crazy.
Is the Earth flat? So this gentleman claims to be a Navy intelligence officer with top secret security clearance. Listen to what he says about the Earth potentially being flat.
Here we go. I'm going to get a lot of flack for this one, and I know for a fact people are just going to scroll, but that's fine. Yes, it is. 100% it's flat. Matter of fact, 1,000% it's flat. Working for the Department of Navy, I can assure you it is definitely flat. The weaponry that we use, the technology that we have on the ships, laser guided, trust me, wouldn't work on a ball. Let's just put it that way. It is a flat Earth plane. That's why you fly on an airplane, okay? You live on a plane, a flat plane, just so you know. Open up your Bible. It will tell you in the Bible that the Earth is stationary. It does not move, and it's flat. It's in the Bible. Go look it up. Anyway, on to the next question. Again with the glasses. What do you know about DUMBs? Another great question. And if you don't know what DUMBs are, it's deep underground military bases. That's what DUMBs are. A lot of people have been talking about this on TikTok of how the elites are running away and they're going to go hide under the ground because they know that this catastrophe is coming. Not true. Not true. Okay? They've been living underground the whole time. Okay? How do you think they travel? How do you think they get from the East Coast to the West Coast? Do you think they jump on an airplane like me and you? No. There's an underground monorail that takes them from California to New York in probably an hour or less. And there's a whole city underground, okay, with shopping centers and you name it, it's down there. I've actually seen the maps of this. I have an old one and I also have an updated map, and I'll share that in one of my upcoming videos. I know a lot of people are going to be interested in this topic. There are entrances to a lot of these underground facilities. A lot of them are built into mountainsides and they just kind of open up magically. and you'll see trucks driving in there bringing supplies. So if you wonder where all your food is gone, your real food, because if a lot of people will drive through America and they'll say, I see cows and I see pastures and I see corn and I see food being grown. Yeah, but it's not for you, okay? Your food is coming out of a laboratory and their food is being grown naturally from the earth. And it's going to the underground facilities. It's not going to you in your local supermarket. Now, you can still get some natural meats and beefs and things, but you have to go to a farmer's market or like a real butcher shop, and I would even question that to be.
Infants, they love to like hunt an infant human soul because they get like a demonic power from that, and then they can draw out the blood, and then it's like they go to a higher plane demonically, and they like to act it out in the physical realm as well, because when they act it out in the physical realm, it catapults them more into a higher level, you know, or all about getting higher levels because of the pride. But I mean, like in the mountains, they do a lot of hunting where they release you into the mountains and you're completely alone. And then they cause demons to hunt you, but then they physically hunt you as well. So they're really hunting your soul and your
in the mountain
body.
So you're physically in the mountains and you're being hunted by
the people that are trafficking you, and
but also demons.
Yes.
So this is crazy. So years ago, I'm not going to mention the politician's name because I don't know. I just don't know. I had heard that there's a ranch in Texas. They'll capture illegal immigrants, or maybe not just illegal immigrants, and they'll release them on this very large ranch to go and hunt them and kill them. And it's like a sport, right? Is it something like that? Like,
yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
Wow.
It really is. I mean, and you know, of course, you know, all of those kids at the border, that was done intentionally. That was strategically planned to get more children in MK Ultra and to program them and to, because they didn't just disappear. I mean, that was done intentionally. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's exactly what they're doing.
Wow.
Is they're hunting their soul, but then they're also hunting their body. So they're doing that at the same time.
Jeez.
I think I know what's happening here. Check this out.
So we all just got woken up to some disturbing sound all through the whole area. I just called 911 and they said they've gotten like over 50 calls about it.
Countless videos exist where it seems like strange noises are coming from underground. And most of us would say, yeah, it's probably deep underground military bases. We all know that's a solid possibility, but I don't think it's how we actually imagine. In a previous video, I explained what the secret societies worshipped, which is the grand architect of the first world culture, the sandcastle culture. You may as well call it the mud fossil culture, because really all those mud fossils are in fact just art and architecture of this grand architect. That culture was destroyed, and during its destruction, multiple layers of sediments and debris were really piled up. After that, the second great technical era comes around, but they didn't do as much as the first. The second era is the one that we recognize by all the impossible stoneworking methods, the polygonal structures, and this is the era of Atlantis, or the Tower of Babel, or the Lost Continent of Mu. This is where the second great cataclysm comes in, or really multiple cataclysms probably, stacking up more debris, more layers of the Earth. Because the layers of our geology are not represented in linear time. That's not true. They represent snapshots of events in history. In that same video, I described something called the tech time pyramid, where it seems to be clear that technology and time associated with each technical era is reduced. We are at the top of that pyramid currently, in a new technological era, the third tech era. That seems to be post-cataclysm. This modern era seems to be free of any of the advanced stonework that we see in all the other ones. And these particular megalithic sites don't count. Even though the creation of these sites belong in our era, the stonework comes from previous eras. We may as well be the dung beetle rolling around somebody else's crap, because those stones weren't created by us. They were just relocated by us, or at least this third technical era. Now, we have non-humans that are rumored to be among us, And I think we're missing part of the equation, because where's the advanced stonework? If they've arrived back on scene like they did in all these other eras, well, then where's their stuff? I would argue it's beneath our feet. The two previous technical eras did not have all that material that we currently have beneath our feet. It's only after 2 cataclysms, or even more, that enough material has been stacked up for them to operate in now. What if all these sounds and all these strange things that are emitting from underneath the ground is actually their presence operating, making preparations, building out structures, so that when the day comes and their terrifying creations come pouring out of the ground, it seems like a bottomless pit. Kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah, it looks like some hills have eyes stuff right there.
What you saw as a reptilian, in my opinion, is a fallen angel. It's not a Nephilim, it's a fallen angel.
Fallen angel, yeah.
Demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. The Nephilim are the progeny of fallen angels, human women, creating a Nephilim. They are soulless. They look like, well, they manifest as the Greys, but the Greys are just suits. They're avatars. They're biological constructs by the dragon to house the demon. What the demon looks like is an orb. When you see an orb floating around or zipping in or zipping out like that in a room, that, my friend, in my opinion, is a demon. That's what
that's a Nephilim spirit.
Nephilim spirit. And so in order for that thing to manifest, the demon has to inhabit a man or a woman, a person or an animal or an object. And that's how the demon. So what you saw was a fallen angel that manifested, and you were being, I'm sure you know this.
But interestingly, right after that, after the first 5 months of giving my life to the Lord, till this day, I have not had one encounter with any of the things that I've encountered before, and the Lord's been using me to do deliverances.
You know Erica Kirk? People are theorizing that there was an Erica Kirk before her.
What, like a clone?
She looks exactly like this other woman named Erica Kirk back in 1934. And her positioning is what's really weird. Okay. Because she's also connected to a very popular Republican, just like Charlie Kirk.
No.
People are saying it might be the same person.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, at least
history repeats itself.
looks like the same person, right? This is what's really weird.
Yeah.
They used to call this Erica Kirk in 1934 Madame X.
Okay.
The reason they called her Madame X was because she appeared out of nowhere and she became very important.
Yeah.
Very similar to what happened with Erica Kirk.
I've never heard.
She just appeared and she's very important. Almost as if she was
planted.
She looks dead ass just
No,
like
this is
her.
crazy. This is
That's why
crazy.
it's so weird. Back in the day, it was a political wife.
I feel like you can do this with a lot of people though, because there's been, if you search up like other celebrities, Taylor Swift, there would be one that in the 1900s that look exactly like her.
There you go.
Crowds at global events are watched by thousands of cameras, but sometimes a lens captures something no one present seems to notice. One shocking clip from the 2012 London Olympics showed a dark humanoid figure standing calmly among people. No one reacts to it. A boy nearby was filming with his phone, yet he never even looked at the figure. If it was a person in costume, someone would have noticed. Instead, the presence stood there unnoticed, as if invisible to human eyes. It could be using a hologram-like disguise, visible only through camera lenses.
Eyes are roughly twice the size of our eyes, and when they're young, they're blue and white, just like ours. When you look at them, they look just like people with larger eyes. The eyes spread around the side of their head more than a human's does, and they're very prominent. And their eyesight is as good, at least, as that of a cat.
What?
And their hearing is as good, as at least, as that of a dog. They're capable of making sounds with their vocal cords that humans can't hear, just the way that I'm told rhinoceroses can do. But they can hear them, and they're well aware of this. When I was out there among them, it wouldn't be uncommon to apparently hear animal sounds out in the sagebrush. Sounds like meadowlarks or dogs barking or horses whinnying. Really, it was the aliens. When they would walk in on me, if they felt like just talking between themselves, they were perfectly capable of talking between themselves using sounds too high for me to hear.
Hey, by the way, that guy, he came out from the sewer.
764, what is it?
So I'll tell you in my own words first. 764 group is a Satanist cult group that focuses on extreme violence and they export children out of sexual material. They export children into cutting their wrists, hurting themselves, cutting areas of their body, engraving their names into their chests, their legs, their arms, their faces. They've had children commit suicide live on camera in front of audiences of people while they get cheered on. They convince children to kill animals in their house, like their pet cats or pet dogs. They try to convince them to kill their family members, commit mass murders, you name it.
You know, why does 7864 exist? The FBI should have tracked down and exterminated them already.